What I would like to do now is to hand over to Stephen Ivanovsky from PanAust, which was one client where we have implemented the value driver trees. So Stephen, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Jürgen. And good morning, everyone. And we're a gold and copper producer in Southeast Asia, in Laos. We also are a low-cost producer. Currently, we budget, forecast, and plan at the resource driver level or value level. So we look at the quantity, the rate, and then the price. So when we're looking at our business and how we run, one of the key challenges we had is the variable costs. So the variable costs for us, the commodity, or the drivers actually, I should say, are the copper price, the gold price, fuel, and balls for our ball mill, a number of other things. So what was happening is the business was getting a lot of requests from the operations managers. Were putting a lot of requests through our finance teams to say, tell me what happens if the copper price is this. Tell me what happens if the diesel price is this. Tell me what happens if we increase our availability of our equipment fleet by this. What are the impacts and what does it mean to the profitability of the company and the operations? Currently, or previously, they were doing all of that in Excel, and it was taking a long time for any of those numbers to come out. So if you look at what typically happens, you'll get the request from someone up in management or general manager level. It'll flow through down to the finance analyst. They'll have to export everything into a data set. They'll have to create some workbooks, some assumptions, hit some buttons, then create some charts and graphs, and then off they go. All of that takes a lot of time, and by the time that what if question was asked, it might take up to a week or a few days at least until they get the answer. So that was one of the key challenges that we were having. A few years ago, or a year ago actually, the copper price was quite volatile. It was, right now it's about $3.10, but before it was dropping down to $1.99, and as you can imagine, that can put some serious pressures on your business. So one of the things that we were looking at, and we were quite fortunate, is we hadn't gone live with the value driver tree at that time. So we could start to use those scenarios and then model it inside the tool. So how did we do that? We started the project in 3 different phases, and currently we're in phase 3. But phase 1 was, we had the concept of a node. We had about 314 nodes in phase 1, and we did that in about 3 months. One of the key things that we had that made this really successful is we were budgeting, planning, and forecasting already in SAP, and we have a lot of our physicals from our plant in there as well for our monthly monthly reporting. And we did that in about 3 months. And how did we do that? We did that using our finance team, one of our finance team members, and a technical resource part-time. That was a great success, because for the first time we could put the finance people with the management level, or the general managers and the managers, and they could, when they were having these what-if questions, they could do it together, if not themselves, in close to real time by moving some of the sliders across, generating scenarios and comparing, just like as you have seen in the demo. So what we then did is we then extended out the nodes, where we could start to do things like looking specifically at equipment and their uptime, and other parts of the equipment, the mills that we have in the business. So the rationale for that was, when people come and say, okay, I want to spend some capital on enhancing something or replacing something, and they put some of their business cases forward, you could then stimulate what that would mean. So if someone would say, okay, well, we're going to increase your availability of your equipment by 0.1% or 1%, you could then work out what that means to your total NPAT, for example. And what does that mean for the operations? What does that mean to the fuel? What does that mean to the availability of other pieces of equipment, etc., etc. So that's, then we, from 314, we went to about 1,400 nodes in that phase 2. And it performs as quick as you saw it in the demo. It's not any slower. It runs very, very fast. And then our last implementation is we're going to extend it to the second operation that we have. All in all, it's really allowed us to do some things really quickly in terms of simulating, and we do not have that lag anymore of a few days or a week or so to run some of these scenarios and then do comparisons. The finance team can do it pretty much immediately, and also our general managers can do it themselves. And that's some of the power of this tool. Though it's easy enough where anyone can get in there who's got a bit of an understanding of how your business works to simulate things. And the good thing is it works as advertised. So everything you saw in the demo is how it actually runs. Jorgen, over to you.
Thank you very much, Steve. Yeah, so it's an interesting case, I think, both because what we saw was basically both an interest from the operations, so the execution, and from the senior management. Just because from the operation sides they can see the linkage of how they impact the overall picture, and from the senior management they can basically see where the underlying drivers are and what drives that variance. So models become something you use far more than what you otherwise would do. So bringing them to life basically means that the use cases are expanding. So the same insight is in the business, but it's just basically visualized in a way that it can be leveraged. Thank you very much, Steve.
Yes, that's 100% right. People, team members in supply are now using this to negotiate some of the contracts as well. So they're also simulating what happens if we do this or this. So it's got broader reaching impacts now that it's easily available to the people in the business that actually drive value.